Welcome to the Friendly Podcast Guide, sorting through podcasts so you don't have to. I'm Andy Smiley, and I want to help you discover the right podcast without having to listen to an entire episode. Now, let's talk podcasts. Hello! Ashley Brown is the host of this week's podcast, which is called Routine and Things, and her ability to make routines fun and interesting is next level. Before I share a conversation about her podcast, here are some details about it. The show description is, ready to step into your happiest life? To manage your time and days with ease? You're in the right place. I'm Ashley Brown, mama of two, lover of all things routines, and host of the Routine and Things podcast, which serves to help you get and stay in your happy place using routines as your guide. I strongly believe routines can improve your home, yourself, and your life. Each week, we'll dive into a specific routine or point of view that will inch you toward living on cloud nine, at least most days. Get comfy, grab your favorite cup of coffee, and tune in. The length of each episode is around 15 minutes long, and it is completely kid-ear friendly. The show is ongoing, and new episodes are available on Sundays. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we are going to take a quick break to talk about Olive and June nail polish. I love having my nails done, but I don't want to spend time and money to get my nails done at a salon. That is where Olive and June comes in. I use their Mani system, and my nail polish will stay on for a week without chipping. It brings me so much joy every time I look at my nails with these fun colors, and I want you to have that joy too. You can get 20% off a Mani or Pedi system by using the affiliate link in the show notes. Now we get to hear from Ashley about her love of routines and the podcasting universe. Ashley, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I am so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, thank you, Andy, for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I do have to say that your podcast is my favorite because of your fabulous accent. I love listening to your episodes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I know people always say, they have told me I have a soothing voice. And I'm like, well, who are y'all listening to? Oh my gosh.
Well,
but I love it.
I love it too. Can you tell me why you started your podcast?
Yes. So Routine and Things podcast. I started it because I'm an educator. So I was a nurse educator for about 6 years. And I had started the business and was just building community and teaching women about routines. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I want to have a podcast because I want to teach women about routines and continue to teach women in a different form. And so I love podcasts. And so I was like, why not start a podcast? I can educate women about routines. I can inspire them to use routines to manage their life. And so that's why I started the podcast. And it's been a joy, honestly.
That's fabulous. I agree. I love podcasts too. I feel like it's especially a really good way for moms, in my opinion, to get educated, find information, because you can just like plug in or turn it on while doing dishes or like driving. I love it. I think it's a fabulous medium. And I feel like you touched on it a little bit, but do you want to dive a little deeper in what you want people to get out of your podcast?
Yes. So usually my podcasts are very short too. They're about usually no more than 15 minutes, but I really want people to be inspired when they listen to the podcast, to be inspired to take action. So I'm such a practical girl. So my podcast is filled with like practical tips because although I love like the big concepts too, and I'm such like a person that's into self-development, I also like the tangible things. Like how can I put what you're teaching me into practical application? And so that's my vibe. And so I always want them to be able to walk away inspired, but with some action items that they can take part in.
Definitely. I absolutely love that. I feel like I feel so much more accomplished when I can be like, oh, Ashley told me to do this, and I can do that today. Like I can actually like mark something off.
Right? Exactly.
Yes. Now, I feel like we've already talked about how your voice is very soothing, but can you tell me a little bit about like the vibe of your show or how people describe the feeling of your show?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say definitely the podcast is the vibe. And I would say the vibe would be, I don't know. I guess people say that it's soothing, but then they say they have a lot of fun. Like, it's a fun podcast. Like, you're going to laugh and learn with my podcast. Like, I'm always cracking up. I'll sing songs every now and then. I'm always behind the mic. I crack myself up. And so you'll be laughing, but then you'll also learn something. And so it's that type of vibe. It's very relaxed, like, because I'm just a relaxed person overall. So it's a very relaxed podcast, and inspirational, I feel like. So that's like the vibe. You're going to laugh and learn.
I love that. I love laugh and learn. Yes. What has been your favorite part about being in the podcasting, like, universe? Does that make sense? Like, being a host of a podcast?
That's a really good question, Andy. I would feel like being a part of this podcasting world, my favorite part is just connecting with people. And, like, even though it's really weird because they're not be able to talk back to you, but, like, when you read the reviews and people message you on, like, Instagram and be like, I listened to your podcast and I learned so much, or that was so relatable, or I took away this thing. Like, it's the best because you feel like, okay, like, I'm not just talking out into dead air. Like, somebody's actually listening. Somebody's listening and somebody's taking away some things. And so it's really beautiful to see. And I just love all of the, like, just being a part of the podcast world, because, like you said, it's such a good, like, medium to just, like, digest information on the go. And I just absolutely love it.
What is your favorite episode that you've ever done? Or a couple, because it's hard to choose, I know.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. So thinking back, I feel like it has to be one of my first episodes. I talked about 5 must-have routines for your home. And this is one of my favorite ones. First of all, it's one of my top listened to podcast episodes, but I break down the 5 routine categories, which I feel like really set me apart from how other people teach about routines. So that's one of my favorite episodes. And then another favorite would have to be, I did a podcast episode on an inside look into my favorite routines. And so I love talking about my routines. And so I was able to give people insight into my morning routine and my bedtime routine. And so, yeah, those are my 2, like, favorite episodes, but I have a lot.
I'm sure but I love those too. I will make sure to link those in the show notes so people can jump straight to them. And where can people find you?
Yes. So you can find me either on Instagram at Routine and Things. So I hang out on Instagram. You'll see me in stories and everything. But also you can find me at routineandthings.com. So that is the website where you can, purchase products or listen to the podcast and, just learn more about Routine and Things and myself. So that's where you can find me.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I am excited for my listeners to listen to Routine and Things. I really like it.
Oh, thank you so much, Andy, for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to hear about more podcasts, please follow or subscribe on your podcast app of choice. Just a reminder, if you want to step up your nail polish game without going to the salon, you can use my Olive and June affiliate link in the show notes to get 20% off a mani or pedi system. Talk to you soon.